Let's go to Canberra now and catch up with Shadow Home Affairs Minister Jonathon Duniam. Thanks for joining us, Jonathon. Good for you to be with us. I want to ask you first up about the bipartisan show of condolence and support for victims and recognition of heroes today in Parliament. That must at least have been worthwhile to see the Parliament coming together for that.
Well, Chris, thanks for having me. It's the very least a national parliament can do in the wake of what is one of the most horrendous events our country's experienced, as we know, the largest terror event on our soil in our history. But what's more, the culmination of years of anti-Semitic activity leading to this. So I think it was the very least we could do to show solidarity with a community that's wounded so deeply by these terrible events. It's the beginning of what we need to do. There's a lot more that needs to happen now, and leadership is required, and that's part of the reason why we're here this week, is to get underway and do what actually needs to be done.
Yeah, let's have a look at government accountability here, though, as well. Surely, given the warnings that have come repeatedly for more than 2 years now, from, people like myself, but also from security experts, both here and overseas, from some prominent members of your own coalition parties, demands for the government to do more, from, of course, primarily the Jewish community itself. Surely the Albanese government is culpable for what occurred at Bondi.
Well, of course they are. They've been failed, and I would say that all of us have failed, frankly, Jewish Australians. Yes, we say the right things, but here we are, having just seen a massacre. They are in government, yes, they are responsible for decisions they're made. When Mike Burgess, when he lifted the terror threat level to probable, when indications were given that the biggest threat was anti-Semitism, then yes, they should have made decisions around resourcing of intelligence and security agencies, law enforcement as well, to actually respond to these problems.
But let me just jump in there, Jonathon.
Counter-terror.
Just let me jump in here quickly, because we've seen so much hate speech, starting from October the 8th, 2023, with those horrible celebrations in Lakemba. The next night at the Opera House, we heard pretty mild condemnation, frankly. Why didn't we see national leaders, state leaders out there going to Muslim communities then, demanding that we confront Islamist extremism head on, not just dismiss it at a distance, crush this problem before it just metastasised as it has over the past 2 years?
Well, I can't make excuses for the fact that we haven't done what needs to be done. You need to pull the root out and get rid of it holus bolus, and, as you say, smash Islamist extremism, which is the root driver of all of this. That is where all of this hatred does start, as we saw with the attack on the 14th of December. It was inspired by Islamic State, ISIS flags on and in the car, as they say. So that is a big part of the response. If a community don't see leaders, federal or state or local, responding to this sort of hate sprouting up in our community, and they don't see leaders smashing it down, then of course they're going to go, oh, well, that's all right, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. And here we are today, responding to the deaths of 15 innocent people because we've just let it flourish.
To that end, though, then increasing gun controls and adding even more hate speech laws, surely that is pointless. Surely that's just a smokescreen when the hatred, the ideology is the problem, and we didn't even see governments try to implement the existing hate speech laws.
Yeah, so there is a problem with non-application of existing laws. It's a discussion we've been having over the last week as we consider what to do with Labor's rushed laws to respond here, and we try and make something good out of what is a terribly botched process. But, you know, I think there is space for increasing capacity to crack down and clamp down on some of these groups. I think that there is merit in the hate group listing provisions, enabling people like Mike Burgess to give advice to government to say, hey, a group like Hizb ut-Tahrir is someone we need to clamp down on and prevent from existing and operating in the way that they do. Those sorts of things I think are good, but again, that is a small part of what a government should be doing and that leaders should be doing, and leading from the front and actually addressing this crisis of anti-Semitism driven by Islamic extremism from the front and from the top.
All right, just quickly, I don't want to dwell too much on politics now, but I have to talk about the polls. One Nation has now pulled ahead of the coalition in the latest news poll. Here's Pauline Hanson.
This is the first poll in Australia's history that another party is polling higher than one of the major parties. I am proud to acknowledge One Nation is polling higher than the Liberals.
Jonathon Duniam, doesn't this show that the coalition has failed to provide clear alternatives on national security and perhaps other issues such as climate and energy?
Well, I reckon the election result, where we were fairly well drubbed, I think does show that we failed. We've got a lot of work to do, Chris. There's no two ways about it. And a poll, while it is a singular poll, is one point of information to take into account. It does point to the fact that we've got our work cut out for us. That's what I'm committed to doing. And I tell you what, there are some things we do need to get straight, get right, including communicating with your viewers, the voters of Australia, about what we actually stand for and how we're going to get there, how they're going to be better off. Yep. We have failed on a number of fronts. We've got to turn that round straight away.
Good stuff, Jonathon. Thanks so much for joining us. Jonathon Duniam there, the Shadow Home Affairs Minister, joining us live from Canberra.